Okay, today we'll be looking at the topic holiness and divine call. And under holiness and divine call, we look at the meaning of holiness, what it means to be holy, what God wants us to be, how it feels to us to portray holiness. So after that, then we'll look at the call of Isaiah and the call of Ezekiel. Now, if time permits us, we'll go to the call of Ezekiel, but if it doesn't, we'll stop at the call of Isaiah. But definitely, we're going to we'll be looking at the full meaning of holiness, what it means to be holy, how God portrayed holiness, and how these prophets, Isaiah and Ezekiel, portrayed holiness as prophets of God. So we talk about holiness. Now, in the Bible context, holiness simply means being spotless or blameless. That is what holiness means. Now, as a believer, as a Christian, we all every time in our churches we talk about holiness. Here, your pastors, your priests preach about holiness. Now, you hear of the word, without holiness, no eyes shall see God. Now, is it equally in the scripture? Yes, it's equally in the scripture because God is holy, and He said you must appear before Him what? Holy. Now, if you are not holy, He said no eyes shall see God without holiness. That is to say, without holiness, you can't even make what? You can't even make rapture. You can't make heaven. That is what the same thing is. Now, let's look at what God talks about holiness in the scripture. Now, it says holiness. I've said it before, it means in the Bible context, it means spotless or blameless. I'll say God is holy, and nothing unholy has any communion with Him. Yes, if He's holy, that means if you are unholy, you can't have what? Any communion with Him. You can't have anything to do with Him. And because of this study, I told you you're going to be looking at the call of Isaiah. Now, when we get to that place, we find out that even Isaiah as a prophet wasn't even holy. At a point, it's discovered he was not holy. So it seems that's the importance of holiness, the importance of being spotless, the importance of being what? Blameless. So you see, God is holy. I say if you must appear before Him, you must be holy. Now that is why even in the churches talk about what? Holiness. Mostly they tell are you prayer of forgiveness. So that if you sin, it will defile you and you are no longer what? You are no longer holy. Now to be holy is not something abstract. No, it's not something abstract or mundane. It's something practicable. It's something you do every day. You see, you can't just stay and say, I'm holy. Now you even discover that even in your thoughts, words, sometimes I even know. Even Peter said, he said, there are things I do, but I found out that are wrong. Say, God, what? God, help me. There are things I don't want to do, but I find myself doing it. So you see it, to be holy or holiness is something practicable. It's not something abstract. It's not something mundane. No, it's something you practice. Keep practicing it until you're perfect in it. So that's why we keep asking for forgiveness as Christians every day. So it's like because of this holiness, you understand a lot of things about what? About holiness and God. It's like for us to be close to God, we must be what? We must be holy. For nothing unholy behold His presence. Now, as a Christian, for you to be closer to God, have a walk with God, a daily walk with God, a communion with God, what do you have to do? One thing that is required of you is what is holiness. If you are not holy, say, no eye shall see God. That is to say, if you are not even holy, you can't walk what? You can't walk with God. You can't be close to God. So that means you can't even claim that you're a Christian when you're not holy. So that is actually what he's trying to say. So before you even get to pray, attract the presence of God, you must be holy for you to attract the presence of God. For God to even speak to you as a Christian, you must be holy. Now we saw it in the life of the prophets. We saw it in the life of Ezekiel. We saw it in the life of what? Isaiah, when God called them. He said, the holiness of God is symbolical. For example, the days of the seraphim burning coal. Now, burning coal is what you're going to find in Isaiah, in his call, because there was something like that. Now, that was when Isaiah discovered that he was not even holy, even as a prophet. So that burning coal is something that is used to what? To purify someone. So you know what burning coal is? Burning coal, something that is burning. Now, if you read the story of Isaiah, you discover that it was placed on his tongue. In other words, in order to cleanse him. So you see it, then when you talk about, you see example, days of seraphim burning coal, smoke. All those things are what? Shows the presence of God. It's that it shows the purified effects of God's holiness on those who come to Him. Those are what the things that show the purified effects of God on those who come to Him. Remember, it says, for without holiness, no eye shall see God. Without holiness, no eye shall see God. That is true, the importance of holiness. That is a very important factor in your daily living as a Christian. Now, it's a very important factor, even in the life of the prophets of the old, even in the life of our prophets. Even our present dispensation now, we need holiness. Now, as a Christian, you have to be holy in order to attract the presence of God. Now, that is what holiness is. Being spotless, being blameless. You have to what? You have to be holy. So you talk about holiness, talk about spotless. You cannot talk about holiness without talking about spotless. You cannot talk about holiness without talking about blameless. You see, and I said it's something that is practicable. Holiness is practicable. It's not something that you just keep and you just stay on your own and you feel, I am holy finally. Maybe because I didn't go out, I didn't abuse anyone today. Maybe as a student, you say you are holy. No, it's something that practically you keep checking yourself. Now you see, in the life of Isaiah, he actually felt every one of you. If I ask you now, say, is Isaiah as a prophet is holy? We all jump up and say, yes, he's holy. He's holy. Yes, that's what we say. Even to me, even before I read it, I was like, Isaiah, since God has been using him, is a prophet of God. Ezekiel is a prophet of God. Amos, name them prophets of God. You just say, because God is using them, they're actually holy. But during their call, we discovered that truly that they were not holy. You see, that's why we say holiness is practicable. Now, something you have to go through the process of purification. For you to be holy, for you to be spotless, you have to go through a process of purification, sanctification. That all these things are the things that comes with holiness. You must be sanctified. Your thoughts must be sanctified. Your words must be sanctified. All these are processes of holiness. You must be purified within and out. What you speak, the words you speak should depict holiness. The things you do should depict holiness. In fact, it should show in you in the work, we daily work with God. We just discovered that without holiness, no eye shall see God. So without holiness, you can't even commune with God. Without holiness, you can't. Remember that sin is what brings, they say it brings separation. So without holiness, the opposite of holiness simply means you are living what? In a sin, you are living a sinful life. That is just what it means. So you see it, if holiness is practical, if sin is practicable, you should know that what? Holiness is practicable too. It's something that you decide within yourself, say, I'm gonna live holy. That is what we talk about, this holiness. Now, you might just come across in the exam saying, what is holiness? What is this holiness? Define holiness. Now, there's no definition of holiness without mentioning spotless, without mentioning blameless. That is simply what holiness is all about. Spotless, being blameless, being without sin, sanctification, purification, being purified. Within and outside of you. Now, at the course of this, I'm sure that I will know more about holiness. Now, let's look at the call of Isaiah. The call of Isaiah. Now, remember the topic we are treating is holiness and divine call. Now, I told you that holiness has to do what? It has to relate to divine call. Now, at the course of treating this call of Isaiah, you're going to be seeing a lot of things that has to be holy, that has to do with holiness of God. Now you will now discover and know the importance of being holy, and know the importance of holiness to God. You see it? Now it's as important to the point that you can't even relate with God, you can't even commune with God, you can't even communicate with God if you are not holy. Now that is why most times in our daily prayers we ask forgiveness of sin. Why? Because that actually even should show you as a Christian the importance of holiness. Now, if you always ask for forgiveness, I'm sure that no time that you're doing your morning devotion, you're observing your morning devotion without asking, "Oh God, forgive our sins today." Even when the disciples asked Jesus to teach them how to pray, he actually prayed about it. He prayed about it too. So you see that holiness as a Christian, it goes in with your daily life, your daily activities, it's practicable, just as I said. It's not abstract and it's not mundane, so it's practicable. So it's something you put more effort to do. The call of Isaiah. Now Isaiah prophesied in Jerusalem in about 742 BC. About 742 BC. Now those are the things you see in your external exams. When, especially in your objective, when did Isaiah prophesy? Where? Now you should know that Isaiah prophesied, and where did the call of Isaiah take place? You should know that it took place in Jerusalem. In which year? 742 BC. That was when he prophesied. And then what happened? Said the same year he received his prophetic calling. It was that same year that he received his prophetic calling. Now remember, Isaiah has been a prophet in Jerusalem for a long time. He has been there. It's not like he has not been there. He said he prophesied. He's been a prophet. Now in a vision, Isaiah saw God sitting on his throne with the seraphim standing above him and declaring the holiness of God. Now you see the holiness as has come in again in this place. In his vision, Isaiah saw a vision. In Ezekiel's own, it talks about what? Trance. Now, that Isaiah is talking about vision. He said in his vision he saw what? The seraphims. Now, talk about, I told you earlier on about what? About the examples of this holiness. And I mentioned the seraphim, I mentioned a burning coal. Now, let's run. And because of this lecture, you understand what I mean by those seraphim. Now, who are actually the seraphim? The seraphims are also equally the angels. Yes, in his vision, he saw them standing above him and what? And declaring the holiness of God. Say, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. Now we already know that God is what? He is holy. And he said that without holiness, no eye can see him. He said, angels shouted. As we were shouting, the surroundings around them shook, and the house was filled with what? With smoke. You see, it's another example of what? Of holiness. Smoke is out again. Now we're talking about the first one. We're talking about, while I was trying to explain holiness, I told you about example of it. When I told you that it's practicable, I told you example of it. I mentioned the seraphim, I mentioned smoke here, and I mentioned burning what? Burning coal. So while they were shouting, these angels were shouting, Isaiah did what? Saw the surroundings. Said he saw the angels shouting what? Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. He said why they were doing that? They were what? The surroundings within the environment. Now remember what Isaiah is passing through, where he is in a vision. Now even in Ezekiel's one, he was in a trance. Now trance is also the same thing as what? As vision. Now he was in a vision and he saw this. That is just simply represents what? The presence of God. This is his calling now. Now he's being called what? Into holiness in the prophet. Now let's find out why does it look like him as a prophet wasn't even holy. Yes, he wasn't even holy because he has to be what? Pass through what? Process of purification. Okay, now while Isaiah saw them and the whole house was filled with smoke, immediately Isaiah recognized the holiness of God as well as what? As his unholy nation. He discovered that, God, truly God is what? Is holy. Now, because he couldn't even behold his presence. Now, see what he was saying. Let's say, for example, you as a student, you saw maybe in a trance, you're just trying to read the Bible or you are praying, that's something. If we are filled with the smoke and the environment changed and you were just hearing a sound, it's like hearing a sound and the whole house is filled. What should come to your mind? Know that this is strange, right? Yes. You should know that it's strange. And you now, knowing that you're a Christian, or maybe you were praying for something, you should know that this is the presence of God. Yeah, simple. It's the presence of God. If you look at the day of Pentecost, when the disciples received the Holy Spirit, what happened? You discovered that they said they were mighty wind first. And then before the tongues of fire started descending on them, and then they discovered that it's strange things. Now that's to show you that the presence of God will come with strange things. Now, how do you even stand the presence of God if you are not holy? That means if you are not holy, you can't even stand the presence of God. Because he already said this in the word. He said what? Without holiness, no eye shall see God. That is what it simply means. Now let's run and see what happened then after. Now Isaiah recognized the holiness of God as well as his unholy nature. What did he do? He exclaimed. What did he say? He said, woe unto me, for I am lost. He said, woe unto me. You know what that means? He actually caused himself. He said, woe unto me, for I am lost. For I am a man of unclean lips. And I dwell in what? In the midst of unclean people. Or in the midst of people with unclean lips. So for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of what? The Lord of hosts. What did I say? He recognized first that he is a sinner. Calling himself a man of unclean lips simply detected that he, even as a prophet, wasn't holy. So he has to even bow. And say, woe unto me, for I am a man of unclean lips. Not just that he's unclean lips, he also dwell in the midst of people with unclean lips. That means even the people who related with the Israelites, everybody around him were sinners. So even that alone even made him a sinner. You see? So he just discovered, he recognized. Now, first of all, before you even get out of your holy nature, what do? The first thing you do is what? You have to recognize that you are a sinner. Now, that is why in the church, when they call for altar calls, you see people, they say, I'm a sinner, God forgive me. Jesus died for me, I received you as my personal Lord and Savior. and you now sin, all those things. Now, because you have recognized yourself as a sinner, first of all, recognize that you are a sinner, that you are not worthy to be in the presence of God. Then, before you seek what? For the holiness, and which God is always ever faithful what? To grant unto mankind. Because He already sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to die for us. So He's ever ready what? To receive us. So, Isaiah said, woe unto me, for I am what? For I am lost. He said he's lost. He just, even as a prophet, he's lost. What made him lost? Because what? He realized that this is the presence of God that I'm seeing here. And this presence of God that I'm seeing here, I am unholy. I'm a man of a holy nature. Not just that I'm a man of a holy nature, I also do well in the midst of people with unholiness, like people who are not what? Who are not holy. He said, for my eyes have seen what? The King of Kings. For my eyes have seen the King of Kings today, and the Lord of what? And the Lord of hosts. So let's continue. Isaiah now said,